Walk with me.
Great is the I am, and greatly to be praised. The city of our God, in the mountain of his holiness, beautiful for situation, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion on the sides of the north, city of the great King. God is known in her places for a refuge. For lo, the kings were assembled, and they passed together. They saw it, and so they marveled, and they troubled and hasted away. Fear took upon them there, and pain as of a woman in travail. Thou breakest the ships of Tarshish with the east wind. And we have heard, so have we seen in the city of the I am, the hosts of hosts. In the city of our God, we will establish it forever. Selah. We have thought of thy loving kindness, O God, in the midst of the temple. According to thy name, O God, so is thy praise unto the ends of the earth, and thy right hand is beautiful, full of righteousness. Let Mount Zion rejoice. Let the daughters of Judah be glad because of thy judgments. Walk about Zion and go around about her, and tell the towers thereof. Mark ye well the bulwarks, consider her palaces, that ye may tell it to the generation following. For this is God, our God, forever and ever. He will be our God even unto death. Yes, God is our God. Yes, we have to own him. Yes, regardless of the naysayers and those who walk contrary to his word and those who are still confused in their heads about the things of the Most High. It's about his statutes, commandments, ordinances, and laws. History is good, yes, to know not to lust after evil things and what the consequences could maybe turn out in this life or the life that you're living. Yes, that's good, but to be obedient is better than any sacrifice. Yes, we're in the book of Jasher. Yes, the book of Jasher, and we thank God for those of you that have been with us since the beginning with a hand clap of praise, and we thank God for those of you who have been with us here after and there's about, and we thank God for those of you that have just subscribed, and we thank God for those of you that are about to subscribe, calling those things that are not as though they are. Yes, all praises to the Most High, even the King of Glory. Yes, even Yah. Some of you got many suffixes for Yah, but I just say Yah. Yes, we're in the book of Jasher, chapter 43. We ended in chapter 42 and went over into chapter 43. We ended at verse 18. Yes, verse 18. And it was talking about how the garments, Jacob torn his garments because one of his younger sons was demised, as he understood by the evidence that was given him by his elder sons, but that they had a secret that he did not know. And verse 19, and Jacob said unto his son, tell me truly, what evil have you did this day suddenly brought upon me? And they answered their father Jacob, saying, we were coming along this day after the flock had been gathered in, and we came as far as the city of Shechem by the road in the wilderness, and we found this coat filled with blood upon the ground. And we knew it, and we sent it unto thee, if thou couldest know it. And Jacob heard the words of his sons, and he cried out with a loud voice, and he said, it is the coat of my son, an evil beast has devoured him. Joseph is rent in pieces. For I sent him this day to see whether it was well with you and well with the flocks, and to bring me word again from you. And he went as I commanded him, and this has happened to him this day while as I thought. my son was with you? And the sons of Jacob answered and said, He did not come to us, neither have we seen him from the time of our going out from thee until now. The lie is it's fluid now. And when Jacob heard their words, he again cried out, and he rose up and tore his garments, and he put sackcloth upon his loins, and he wept bitterly. And he mourned and lifted up his voice, weeping, and exclaimed and said these words, Joseph, my son, O my son Joseph, I sent thee this day after the welfare of thy brethren, and behold, thou hast been torn in pieces. Through my hand has this happened to my son. It grieves me for thee, Joseph, my son. It grieves me for thee. How sweet wast thou to me during life, and how exceedingly bitter is thy death to me. Oh, that I had died in thy stead, Joseph, my son. For it grieves me sadly for thee, my son. Oh, my son, Joseph, my son. Where art thou? Where hast thou been drawn? Rouse from thy place. Now, this is in the language that they spoke. This is in English. You don't get it backwards. English is kind of crazy. Try to make you think this in Shakespearean language. You understand? Now, and come and see my grief for thee, O my son Joseph. Come now, and number the tears gushing from my eyes down my cheeks, and bring them up before the I am, that his anger may turn from me. Now he's thinking that God had really just put him aside and caused him to have loss of his son. Verse 27, O Joseph, my son, how dost thou fall by the hand of one by whom no one had fallen from the beginning of the world unto this day? For thou hast been put to death by the smiting of an enemy, inflicted with cruelty, which surely I know that this has happened to thee on account of the multitude of my sins. Yes, Jacob did sin. He had some sins, okay. Rouse now, and I see how bitter is my trouble for thee, my son. Although I did not rear thee, nor fashion thee, nor give thee breath and soul, but it was God who formed thee and built thy bones and covered them with flesh and breathed in thy nostrils of breath, and then he gave thee to me. Now truly, God who gave thee unto me has taken thee from me. As such then has been befallen thee. And Jacob continued speak like these words concerning Joseph, and he wept bitterly, and he fell to the ground and became still. I mean, this man was really distraught. He was really strung out. I mean, what man that really loved his sons would have not done it? Whether his sons were taken by those of government, or taken by war, or taken with walking out of his gender, is a man that is really, that can be really a son. When a son has walked contrary to what that he is, it's a grief to a real father, a real man. It's a very vehement grief to know that the Satans have had their way with your own child. And for some, it could be children. Yes, but there are some liaisons to the part where they have caused themselves to be taken by such forces. To put it, for those of you who get that. But anyway, and Jacob continued to speak like these words. In verse 31, and all the sons of Jacob, seeing their father's trouble, they repented of what they had done. How they can repent? How are they going to repent? They can't get Joseph back. They're sorry for what they did. And they also wept bitterly. In other words, we hurt our daddy. I can understand that part. We hurt our daddy. And they all loved their father Jacob. Yes, all the sons, all of from Abraham on down, from what is in the narrative is telling us, loved their fathers. Even Esau with his crooked self, he loved his daddy. Yes. Eventually, God's going to return the son's love back to the fathers. And those of you mothers that have been sitting up there and doing all the things that you've done to take the man's children from him, God's going to restore that love back. He's going to restore his sons. He's going to restore them strongly where their fathers can sit up there and sit in their chair and enjoy their sons, enjoy their grandchildren that come from their sons. One day it's going to happen, and those of you who are so evil to the point where you keep your children from their own fathers, the loins from which they were started and created. Should I say, even the yeast that made the bread that formed, that went into you and it became a human. And some of you still say, we got the seed. You don't have the seed, lady. You're wrong. And verse 31. And all the sons of Jacob, seeing their father's trouble, they repented of what they had done, and they also wept bitterly. And Judah rose up and lifted his father's head from the ground and placed it upon his lap, and he wiped his father's tears from his cheeks. Yes, and Judah wept exceedingly in great weeping while his father's head was reclining upon his lap, still as a stone. And the sons of Jacob saw their father's trouble, and they lifted up their voices and continued to weep, and Jacob was yet lying upon the ground, still as a stone. You talking about, you talking about this society where you can only think of this scene as with the mothers. But God is going to restore those fathers back. He's going to restore them. I'm not prophesying and nothing. I just believe it's going to happen. And also it's written. No, it's going to be restored. It's going to be restored. It's going to be restored. I mean, for the things that have happened throughout the years, effeminacy of men and all these things, God is going to restore things. He's going to cause the manhood to come back. The Satans have turned it. They have turned the male figure, the male image inside out. He's done it over the years, but it ain't going to take God years. Just going to take an awakening. Yes, you're going to find your daughters desiring their fathers over their mothers and the sons desiring their fathers over their mothers. What you going to do then, government? What you going to do then, CPS? What you going to do then? Running away from home just to go be with their fathers. Yes, you're going to throw the child in jail because they desired their fathers over their mothers, or desired their fathers and they love their mothers too. What you going to do, CPS? How are you going to distribute the child support? And how are you going to distribute all the things that you've done and all the evil that Satan have used you to do against fathers? I understand that there are some that are evil, even though there are women that are evil. What are you going to do? Restoring the sons to their fathers and even the daughters. It's going to become that way. Yes. And the whole household of Jacob rose up and mourned greatly on account of Joseph and their father's trouble. And the intelligence reached Isaac, the son of Abraham. That's their father. That's their grandfather. Uh-oh. Come on here. And the father of Jacob, and he wept bitterly on account of Joseph. And he and all his household, and he went from place to where he dwelt in Hebron, and his men with him, and he comforted Jacob his son, and he refused to be comforted. There's a father with this for the sons. Sometimes you can have that baby on your lap, and it's just a whole thing that have happened. Maybe you messed around and done something wrong in your marriage, or maybe you done something that wasn't right, but then you understood. But that has nothing to do with your children. That's between you and your wife or your whatever. And For some reason, that entity decided they're going to poison the children against you. You're evil, you're this, you're that, but yet here you are doing everything you can to see to their welfare. God is going to, he's going to say no more. No more. Even to the point where he have to demise their own mother for what she does and cause havoc in those in CPS that feel they have power over man, because most of them are women. God's going to do a work. Yes. And let us continue. Woo, I think God has got to do something here. I ain't just talking. I ain't in no church or nothing. I ain't got no organs behind me. No, and I don't desire to have one. But I believe God is going to do something. Man, you get your life right and you order it right. Hebrew Israelite man, Jacob, those of you who know the Most High and the pardon of your sin, even his statutes, laws, ordinances, and those things that your children have been turned against you, made to walk out of the agenda. God's restoring. He's going to restore. I just believe this. I just believe it, yes. Thank the Most High. And those women's going to look with their mouths dropped. And why my baby going back to that old evil, nasty man, what he did to me? Well, what about what you did to him? Or the way you treated him? That he felt upon himself to go do the things that he did. Come on here. And two wrongs don't make a right. You're both wrong. Now, and he and all his household, he went from place to where he dwelt in Hebron, and his men with him, and comforted Jacob his son. Now here's his father, comforting the father with the grandchildren, uses the grandmother here in America where you got the matriarchy, and these women have gone crazy. And the men are fearing that I ain't got no responsibility. Yes, you do. Regardless, you have a responsibility to that child. When they get grown, you still have a responsibility, but then that responsibility lies on them too, to come at you or to you. And after this, Jacob rose up from the ground, and his tears were running down his cheek. And he said unto his sons, rise up and take your swords and your bows, and go forth to the field, and seek whether you can find my son's body, and bring it unto me, that I might bury it. I mean, not only did he love his sons, he loved his other sons too. If you can read the narrative, he loved his older sons just as much, because he worried about them in battle and war. "37, and seek, I pray also, I pray you among the beasts, and hunt them. That which this man wanted vengeance. Why not? Father and grandfather. Which shall come to the first, before ye seize it, bring it to me. Perhaps the I am will this day pity my affliction, and prepare before you that which did tear my son in pieces, and bring it unto me." And he did not know he was talking about them. "And I will avenge the cause of my son." And his sons did as their father had commanded them, knowing that they were the ones that had caused this whole thing. And they rose up early in the morning, and each took his sword and his bow in his hand. And they went forth into the field to hunt beasts. And Jacob was still crying aloud and weeping and walking around to and fro. I mean, the anguish of a man is something. Oh, we so used to the anguish of woman, but man, when your father is grieved, it's a grief. It's a grief. And it can be destructive in that grief, very destructive. And smiting his hands together, saying, "Joseph, my son, Joseph, my son." And the sons of Jacob went into the wilderness to seize the beasts, and behold, a wolf came toward them. This is how deceitful they were being. They know they were wrong. And they seized him and brought him to their father, and they said unto him, This is the first we have found, and we have brought him unto thee, as thou didst command us, and thy son's body we could not find. And Jacob took the beast from the hands of his sons, and he cried out with a loud weeping voice, holding the beast in his hand, and he spoke with a bitter heart unto the beast, Why didst thou devour my son Joseph? How did thou know fear of God, of the earth, or of the trouble for my son Joseph? And thou didst devour my son for nothing, because he committed no violence, and didst thereby render me culpable on this account. Therefore God will require him that is persecuted. And the I am opened the mouth of the beast in order to comfort Jacob with his words. And it answered Jacob and spoke these words to him. Whoo, all praises to the Most High. God knows how to comfort. As God liveth who createth us in the earth. As the soul liveth, my I am, or my, how would you put it? They say Lord. I don't like using the word Lord, but this is what they say. I did not see thy son, neither did I tear him to pieces, but from a distant land. And I also came to see my son who went from me this day, and I know not whether he be living or dead. And I came this day into the field to seek my son, and your sons found me, and seized me, and increased my grief, and have this day brought me before thee, and I have now spoken all my words to thee. And now therefore, O son of man, I am in thy hand to do unto me this day as it seemed good to thy sight, because God hath given man dominion over the creatures of the earth. I did not see thy son, nor did I tear him to pieces. Neither has the flesh of man entered my mouth all the days of my life. Do you know that the animals also spoke with Adam? Until the day, he's not Eve. Eve sinned, yes. But when Adam's so weak for Eve, this is Adam's sin. He was too weak for the woman. When your woman sit up there and she goes against what God says, you have to get as Job. You don't sound like my wife. You have to get as Esau when his father told him you need to remove the tent peg because the nail is not in a sure place. When she goes against that which God has said and God have put down before his people, even if she practiced that which is dividend and try to get you, even you must put her away. And if it was the law, so forth, that she be demised for what she does, you have to do it because what? Even as Abraham loved God above his own flesh, so should you. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how much female she is or how much male or whatever it is. When it goes against the laws of the Most High, put it away from you. Put it away. Now, let us continue. And verse 47, he says, And when Jacob heard the words of the beast, he was greatly astonished. And he sent forth the beast from his hand, and she went her way. And Jacob was still crying aloud and weeping for Joseph day after day, and he mourned for his son many days. And we can continue in chapter 44, verse 1. And the sons of Ishmael who had brought Joseph. This is going to another thing. Jacob is in grief for Joseph. Now we're going into another segment in time. We have to realize that time. We're reading this historical account of how God dealt, and we got up to the point that we are now. Time, yes. Didn't happen like a movie or your favorite sitcom or your, should I say, intriguing series on sin. No, it didn't do that. Now here it goes, chapter 44. And the sons of Ishmael who brought Joseph from the Midianites, who had brought him from his brethren, went to Egypt with Joseph, and they came upon the borders of Egypt. And when they came near unto Egypt, they met 4 men, the sons of Medan, the son of Abraham, who had gone forth. Now Abraham had many sons now, from the land of Egypt on their journey. And the Ishmaelites said unto them, do you desire to purchase this slave from us? And they said, deliver him over to us. And they delivered Joseph over to them, and they beheld them that he was a very comely youth, and they purchased him for 20 shekels. Now, 20 shekels is all, they was giving it back and forth. They paid 20 shekels and they got 20 shekels, according to this narrative. You have to realize money was done in weight. I don't know about this shekel. I doubt if it was, but the fact is money was done in weight. Where it is now is no weight. A dollar has no weight to it as to gold. Even a promissory note is nothing when you have to depend on the promise of a crooked government. It's nothing. It's just an exchange of paper. That's all it is. There's nothing there. At one time, even in the U.S., the coffers were full of gold, but now there's no gold to even back the money that is lent, spent, and borrowed. Nothing. It's been stolen. Yes, I make that accusation. Allegedly stolen. By whom? That's yet to be found out. Some know, many don't. Sold, stolen, what have you. And now we're caught in the dilemma that all we do is just print money. And the Ishmaelites continued their journey to Egypt, and Midian also returned that day to Egypt, and Midian said to each other, behold, we have heard that Potiphar, an officer of the Pharaoh, captain of the guard. Now some call him a eunuch. Now we have to understand that definition of a eunuch could be the same thing, guard. What did he guard? Seeketh a good servant who shall stand before him to attend him and to make him overseer over his house and all belonging to him. Now therefore come, let us sell him to him for what we may desire, if he be able to give us that which we shall require of him. And these Midian went and came to the house of Potiphar, and they said unto him, we have heard that thou seekest a good servant to attend thee, and behold, we have a servant that will please thee, if thou canst give us that which we may desire, and we will sell him to thee. And Potiphar said, bring him before me, and I will see him. And if he please me, I will give unto you that which you may require for him. And the Midian went and brought Joseph and placed him before Potiphar, and he saw him, and he pleased him. I mean, a goodly looking young man. I mean, you can compare him to your own son. And this is what Potiphar probably saw, his own son in him, but yet a servant. And said unto him, tell me, somebody he can trust, tell me what you require for this youth. And they said, 400 pieces of silver we desire for him. And Potiphar said, I will give it you if you bring me the record of his sale to you, and will tell me his history, for perhaps he may be stolen, for this youth is neither a slave nor a son of a slave, but I observe in him the appearance of a goodly and handsome person. And with that, we're going to say peace.
Walk with me.